Hey there. So I just got done doing a little bit of boxing coaching with a woman that is a part of my group coaching program, Breakthrough, and then immediately went over and talked to one of my coaches about it, and it just made me think about how valuable and important it is to have a business coach in your life. And so I was just like, you know what? I want to talk to somebody about this, so I'm bringing it to you. And I was reflecting on the value and the importance of having a coach in your life, whether it's in business, whether it's kind of like maybe for your marriage or, what sports growing up, like the value that a coach brings to you when you are doing anything, really. And I just wanted to talk about that a little bit because, being an athlete growing up, I've had coaches. Basically, I've had some form of a coach in my life since I was 10, 11 years old when I first started playing sports. My first coach was my dad, and then started playing like organized sports. And having coaches in my life definitely helped me develop into the athlete that I needed to become to play on the varsity teams, to eventually earn a scholarship to play college volleyball. My college volleyball coaches were some of the toughest coaches in my life, and I hated them at the time. But looking back, like 13 years later, like I see that time in my life and how hard they were on me was because they saw so much potential in me. And I've just always been somebody that's attracted to coaches. Like I guess I was like the athlete and the player in the game who was like, I'm not too proud and prideful of my own natural ability. And I know that I need somebody else to help me to become great. And so I've always loved having coaches in my life. Now, that's not to say that I've been the easiest student. One of my business mentors, Paige, could tell you that straight up. Like, she wasn't the easiest one, but having coaches in my life, having mentors has been extremely valuable to any level of success in life that someone might look at and say, wow, she's got some things figured out. Believe me, we don't have it all figured out, my husband and I, but we are in a much better place today than we were almost 8 years ago when we were drowning in about $80,000 of consumer debt. That's outside of our mortgage. And we were both working 70 hours a week. We both had full-time jobs and part-time jobs. We were overdrafting nearly every single month, making $12 an hour at our jobs. And we were struggling. And it was that summer, 8 years ago, that we were introduced to the first mentors in our life, from like mentors in finance and business and our relationship. And we earned the opportunity to get their mentorship, and they've been guiding us ever since. They've been in our life for 8 years, and they have a direct hand in anything that Josh and I can point to and say, that's success in our life, and it's because of their influence. And when I started Bridge, my social media marketing company, and now kind of transitioning to more consulting and coaching, I began working with a coach named Rachel Lingome. She had a business that she was able to take from, in her personal life, she was negative $400 in her bank account. And within 2 years, she grew a business to close to $1 million, all online. And I heard her podcast and became one of her raving fans of the podcast. And then eventually I pursued getting in access to her mindset and what she knew in business and what she knew about growing an online business and scaling it and creating courses. And so with getting access to a coach and pursuing that, what I was looking for was not just their systems, their processes, and what they like knew from a technical standpoint. Like, I needed their mindset. Like, I didn't just need the processes. I needed to have them show and explain me over time why the process was the way that it was, so that I could not only learn it, get access to it, but then recreate it and implement it into my own business. And so, when I brought all of this up today, and I'm doing this video today because I just felt like, I think, and I'll be the first one to say this. Let me say this first. I undervalued the value of my coach when I first started wanting to work with her. How do I say it this way? Like, I felt like, I remember the first time I heard Rachel's prices for coaching, and I was like, girl, you gotta be freaking crazy. You gotta be nuts. And here I am a year later, and I'm like, okay, I understand now. And I think too often, because as humans, we let money make so many decisions in our life, and the lack thereof, like us not having enough money to do things, we let that make decisions for us that hold us back, honestly. And so I just think that, people, like, coaches can be underappreciated, and not just from a monetarily standpoint, but like I even had to recognize over the last 12 to 18 months how important both of my coaches have been in my life, both Paige and then most recently having Rachel as a go-to coach in my life. Like, the value that they've not only brought to my life, but to my businesses, and what my businesses have been able to become has been tremendously helpful. And all because I have access to their minds, their perspectives, and everything. So to kind of wrap up this training and to kind of like get into what I wanted to talk today about on this video, which was completely impromptu, by the way. This was not a scheduled piece of content. I just felt on my heart that I have a message to share about the importance of having a coach in your life. So I wanted to share some benefits of having a coach and why it's so important, no matter what type of business that you're in, whether you are an online business coach yourself, online business owner, maybe you have some type of like consulting or coaching package where you're working with people, or maybe you are a social media marketer like me. I know that there's a lot of those out here in my audience. Maybe you're a traditional business owner, so maybe more brick and mortar, you serve your local area. Maybe you're in some type of network marketing, direct sales business. Maybe you are just side hustling it right now, doing something on Etsy. Whatever type of business you have, you're in, or you're pursuing, I need you to know how important it is that you do not go down that journey by yourself, and that you have access to someone that can lead you down a path that may be 2 or 3 steps ahead of you and can show you how to navigate this thing called entrepreneurship. Because entrepreneurship is a very lonely space if you try to do it on your own. And as I'm seeing people join me live here, like I've got Tiffany on here, I know for Tiffany how important it has been to have access to other people in the real estate industry, to not just grow friendships with, but to be able to get coaching and perspective and counsel from. And that is the same to you in your business. If you have a desired level of success in anything that you're trying to do, try to find somebody who's down the path ahead of you a few steps, and find out if they're willing to take you along the same journey that they went on, because you're going to get to that level of success so much quicker if someone can show you the ropes. And in some instances, maybe that business coaching relationship is going to require a little bit of compensation for their time. Be okay with that. That's something that we need to become, like, that needs to be normalized, is like, it's okay to invest in a business coach, and all that they give you in return is their time and their mind. I think too often people want to spend money and they want to get some physical thing in return. And it's like, the physical thing is the knowledge and the wisdom that you're going to get imparted to you, so then you can go out and create the income that you need to create. And so we need to normalize that. But anyways, I'm going to go off on a rant. So let me get to the points that I had for this conversation. I'm going to go off some notes here on my computer. So some of the big benefits to having a coach in your life, having somebody that you can be a sounding board for you, is they are able to help you to think critically and creatively. It's like, have you ever been sitting over a cup of coffee or in the shower? Because the shower is a brilliant place to get ideas. There's that's an inside joke with me and some of me and my friends, but where you get an idea and you're like, I have an idea, but I don't know how to bring this baby to life. Paige, my mentor Paige, is one of the best people in my life that I can go to, that if I have an idea, I can give her a couple of, how do you say, like, supporting thoughts around the idea, but she can help me bring that baby to life. And so having a coach, having a mentor who's got a greater perspective than you, can take an idea with you and help you to think critically about it and to think creatively about it. just as like an example, for me, like when I thought about making the transition from just doing done for you social media marketing services to starting to kind of get more into courses and eventually like a membership group where I do group coaching, all I knew was that, hey, I want to be able to duplicate myself. I'm working 40 hours a week. This was back in like 2019. I was working like a full-time job as like a self-employed business owner. Did not want to work a full-time hour like schedule, but I was doing all the work in my business. And I was like, I've got to figure out a way to duplicate myself. I don't want to hire employees. Like, I'm not trying to get into that mess. But I don't know how to duplicate. But I had the idea, like, Paige, I need to duplicate myself. I need to free up my time so I can have more time with my kids because I stay home with them full time. What are your thoughts? What are your ideas? And she started to talk to me a little bit about like, well, what if you become more like a project manager where you don't hire employees, but maybe you can like subcontract out some work. And so what she was telling me was like, she was kind of bouncing. She didn't even know what a virtual assistant was, but she was thinking along the lines of like subcontractor work. And I was like, oh, that's a great idea. So I began to think about and work on finding someone who could, instead of me writing all the captions and the graphics for my clients, hire somebody else to do it as a subcontractor, not an employee in my company. And then I could still be the brain and the strategy and the main point of contact for my clients. And I became more of that project manager. You guys, doing that simple thing right there, I went from working like 35 to 40 hours a week in my business to I only work 15 hours a week in my business now. And it's freaking brilliant. So that one idea that I had, I took it to my mentor and she was able to help me think critically about the concept and then creatively. So that's one huge benefit to having someone in your life that knows where you want to go. They understand business. They understand why you want your business to be what you want it to be, and they can help you to create ideas around that. Okay, so thinking critically and creative is one. The next one is they're going to be able to provide you objective opinions. So I love this one because when you think about like, okay, let me just say this. If you have employees that work for you or family members or things like that you go to as a sounding board and they don't have a vested like interest in the success of your company, like a mentor and a business coach has a vested interest in your success, because if you're not successful, you may not continue to use them as a coach, right? But when you just ask friends and family or employees, like for opinions, a lot of times their opinions can come from a place of compliance or like they don't want to disagree with you. So they kind of like give you the answers that could avoid friction, or like they kind of are like yes men, or like that's a great idea, but there's nothing objective behind it, right? Like if I came up with an idea and went to my business coach and they were like, yeah, that's actually not a great idea, like I've seen this and this happen, you should try something else. Like if you have an employee that you take that idea to, they may not want to tell you, hey, Danielle, that's actually a terrible idea, you shouldn't do it. They don't want to like cause friction with you. So it's nice when you're able to go to a business coach or a mentor who does have that higher perspective than you, and they can assess the situation with you, and they can take into consideration all of who you are as the business owner, the direction the business is going, knowing what works and what doesn't work, and then being able to give you like truly objective feedback instead of just like what you want to hear. Because if you go to a coach and it's like in basketball, right? Like I knew playing basketball growing up, my free throw percentage was not very good. Like I knew I needed to work on my free throw. And if I would have gone to my coach and said, hey coach, I know that I need to get better at my free throws, but I'm not willing to change anything about my like double dribble, gotta spin the ball twice, and then like my routine. Like I'm not willing to change anything. Like I know my elbow's out a little bit, but this feels funny and it's not what I've always done. So like, can you make everything better, but then like don't tell me to change anything? Like that's, then as a coach, they'd be like, no, like that's not gonna work, And so having someone that you can go to that you're also willing to get that objective advice from, to get that perspective from. Like it's a two-way street. They can give it, but you also have to be in a position of receiving it. And sometimes it's uncomfortable. The next benefit to having a coach in your life and someone that you can go to is they can help you see the things about yourself that you cannot see. Having Paige in my life since the summer of 2013 has been the greatest gift and the greatest blessing of my entire life, outside of my children, of course. But I have my children because she helped me with my marriage, and we stayed married and had kids, and so maybe it is greater. I don't know. But having her in my life and her being able to see the seeds of greatness that God put inside of me and being able to call them out has been so valuable. Because if you think about it, especially, I don't know men and the way that their minds work other than my husband's, and I try not to think about that too much because they can compartmentalize and we can't. Like men, their brains are like filing cabinets. They can hear something, file it away for later. They can go to nothing boxes. Women, our brains are like a giant ball of rainbow colored yarn that is a mess. And all the things can be happening all at one time in our brains. Can I get an amen on that? So it's like we think about all the things all of the time. But one, especially for me, like I know in my past, I dealt with a lot of self-confidence issues in my business. I dealt with being unworthy of charging the prices that I wanted to charge, not feeling like I had the credibility to be able to work with the kind of clients that I wanted to work with or charge the rates that I wanted to charge for my time. And so having that coach and that mentor be able to look at me and tell me the value that I brought was extremely beneficial, because they're going to be able to see the things in you that you cannot see yourself. Right? Like when I look in the mirror, I look at myself and I see that I have a big nose and that my eyes are a little too close together, right? And that my bite is off. Like I don't have a straight bite. I can hide it really well. I've learned how to do that in my 32 years of life. But what other people see on the other end, to them, it might look beautiful. I might look beautiful. My nose might be the perfect size. It might be whatever. They're just able to see, people on the outside can always see things that we can't see through our own lens, because we're seeing our ability as business owners. We're seeing ourselves through this like super like critical lens, right? So to have someone that can come in and help you to identify your own uniqueness, help you to identify the value that you bring, help you to point out like, Danielle, you have this skill. Did you know that you can do this? Like, I've seen you do that. Do you know that that's something that you can offer to people? They can help you to recognize your strengths, your abilities, and then be able to provide you strategies to navigate through all of that. How do you bring more of that out? Because ultimately, for me, Paige and Rachel, like all they've wanted to do is like bring out the greatness in me so that I can give that to the world. That's what a good coach wants for you, is they want you to operate at the highest level that you can, because then you're going to be able to serve people at the highest level that you can, right? So recapping, we're talking about the importance and the value of having a coach in your life. And I'm sharing my own personal experiences with having mentors, having coaches, and some of the benefits that I've talked about up until this point is someone that can be able to think critically and creatively with you in your business, but not have to be super involved in it. Getting objective feedback, perspective, and opinions from them instead of just getting a lot of yes man answers. Help you to grow in your self-confidence. And then how about the fact that a business coach can help you with your networking opportunities? I'm going to talk about Rachel really quickly here, and then I'll pivot to Paige, because with both of those women in my life, I've been able to see God open some amazing doors through the power of networking. But with Rachel specifically, I joined her Activate program last year, and as a person that was a student that was in her group, she became a coach of mine, but I also got access to her network now. She interviewed me on her podcast. She had me do a live training with her on social media. She called it was like an on-air coaching call. We did that live into her Facebook group, which has over like 15,000 members in it. then whenever people would ask her, like, hey, do you know somebody social media that could come on my podcast or be a speaker at my summit, she began to refer me to these people. So last year, I was able to be on close to 20 different podcasts, which to some people may not sound like a lot, but to me, it was a lot. I'm like, little girl from Kansas over here, high school educated, like I'm on podcasts. It's so cool. But then I was asked to be a speaker at 4 different summits this year already. I've been invited to 3 different summits, and all of that is as a result of that one relationship with Rachel. Doors opening to client opportunities, the networking potential in the online space with having Rachel in my corner and someone who knows my business, knows me, knows that I can help people. Like, she gets to edify me and I don't have to edify myself to her network, which is so powerful. With Paige, like, I could go on and on and on about the networking opportunities that have been opened up because of my relationship with Paige. But some of the coolest ones recently have been really, really divine. And it's just, I don't have a whole lot of time to get into that. In fact, I'm going to do a live about that at another time, but just talking about how important it is to press in. For me, my faith is something that I incorporate through and through in my business, but how important it is to be in alignment with what God's calling you to in your business, specifically in certain seasons, and being obedient to what he's telling you to do. Because one conversation that I had with a potential client, and I challenged her to do something in her business that she was uncomfortable with doing, but she went and did it, and it opened up an amazing door for her to actually do business with her dream client. And that dream client also happens to be like a hero of Paige's, and now that connection's made. And it's just nuts the way that networking opportunities can happen when you are working with a business coach and working with a business mentor. Because like I said, a lot of times, if you pursue the right mentor, the right business coach, they're going to be several steps down the same path that you want to go, right? Maybe your end destination looks a little bit different, but the path to getting there is very similar. And they can come alongside you and say, this is the direction that you need to go. And along the way, this is the gas station that you should stop at and talk to somebody. Like, they're going to help you to know how to network. So, working with the business coach boosts your networking opportunities for sure, because now you're not working just in your network, you're getting access to their network as well. And then, just a couple last thoughts. The benefits of a coach and a mentor in your life is you will be able to learn when to and when not to take risks in your business. One thing that Paige taught me is, just in the business that she mentors me in specifically, like, never try anything in your business for the first time without checking with like a coach and a mentor. It's like we all get these great crazy ideas, right? Like innovative things that we want to try, and we're all being creative in our businesses. But what if that same idea has been tried by several people and it failed massively? I guess like there's that pride thing that's like, maybe I could be the first one to succeed with it, right? But maybe it's just a matter of like, hey, I've got this idea, and they say, well, maybe you should try it this way, because we've seen people try it that way and it didn't really work out, but maybe this little tweak and you can go on. But knowing when to, take risks in your business, or when you need to invest in your business. So it's just nice to be able to go to a business coach and talk to them about something that could potentially hurt or help your business. Just getting that outside perspective. And then the last thing I would have to say is like, they're just able to help lead you strategically, right? Like, that doesn't mean that you can't be an innovator in your business. That doesn't mean that you can't do all things yourself, but you just don't have to. I guess that's the point that I'm making with this last example here is, having a coach and a mentor in your life that's able to help you in your business. Like, yes, they're going to bring out the best qualities of you. They're going to help develop you into a leader, but it is essential to have someone who can help you to stay strategic in your business. And there's a lot of different coaches and a lot of different mentors out there. Like, I see so many different like life coaches, health coaches, business coaches, this kind of coach, that kind of coach. The thing is like, figure out, like, let me wrap this up by saying, if you're looking for a coach, or if this has sparked some ideas for you on, well, Danielle, you've got me really thinking about, maybe I need to look for a mentor or look for a coach. Like, I would encourage you, first and foremost, if you have questions about that, don't hesitate to reach out to me. We can have, DM conversation. We can voice memo. We could even have a phone call conversation. Being a mentor and a coach to others in my life has been one of the greatest gifts that I've ever been able to have. Like, I never saw myself growing up as like a business coach or a mentor to other people. But it's funny because I did coach people. Like, I coached teenagers from the age I was 18 to 25. I coached volleyball, and I've actually held positions of leadership at every job that I've had. So it's so funny that I never saw myself as like a mentor and as a coach. But if you've got questions specifically, like, I can help you to identify where to go to find a business coach, or maybe us working together is the solution that you need. I don't know. We can have a conversation about that. But the big thing you need to look at is, you need to first identify, where do you want your business to be in a year, 2 years, 5 years, and beyond. I know most people can't think beyond 5 years. That's why I'm not saying like, what's your 10 and 20 year plan, but where do you want your business to be? And don't just say like the day-to-day of your business and what it is that you're doing. No, I want you to think like, what type of life do you want to have as a result of what you've created in your business, right? So one area of my life outside of Bridge, my husband and I are working on developing a debt-free cash flow asset that gives us a lot more options and financial freedoms in our life, to where he doesn't have to work a full-time job anymore, where this business with Bridge and my social media company is kind of running on autopilot, except for me doing coaching and consulting, so that we can give the best hours of our day to our children and to serving other people that we want to coach and that we want to mentor, right? So that's the outcome and the results. I have an idea monetarily of what we'd like to create. So what I'm doing is we pursued people who've created that result in life, and they're teaching us how to do it. That's it. We earned mentorship, and now we're just following in the same steps that they went down to achieve that result in life. Same thing with Rachel. Rachel's created a multi-million-dollar business online, teaching other people how to grow their businesses, create courses, create memberships. She's got certain results in life. She's living in Africa with her family. She works part-time in her business, but it's a multi-million-dollar business. Yes, sign me up for that, please. Show me the way, Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? Like, I'm pursuing the outcome. I don't really, I'm not hung up on what somebody did to get there. I just want to get there. As long as it's moral and ethical, I want to get there, right? So find somebody who's at in life or in business where you want to be. First of all, pursue their mentorship. Find out how you can learn from them. Maybe they don't offer one-to-one mentorship, so maybe you have to get access to like their podcast or their Facebook group or whatever. I highly recommend find someone who is willing to give you their time. I think that you'll be a lot more successful if you can get direct access to them. Sometimes that costs money though, so you've got to be willing to invest into a coaching program that they might have or something along those lines. But at the end of the day, it's like, find somebody that is where you want to be in business and pursue what they know. Pursue them if you can. And if they're not willing to, then that is definitely not the person for you. Also, make sure that people aren't just willing to be your coach because you're willing to give them a paycheck. You need to interview people too. As a business coach, it's got to be mutually beneficial. If I don't feel like I can help somebody, I'm not going to offer to work with them, if that makes sense. Because that's time that I could be dedicating to other areas of my life or business or my family. It's got to be mutually beneficial. So anyways, all of that to say, wow, that all came up from me having the opportunity to work with someone through Voxer today. I do Voxer coaching. It's a form of coaching that is like walkie-talkie, and so it's really, really beneficial because you can access me at any time. But I was working with somebody that I'm a coach to this morning, and then immediately I was like, I need to go run this by Rachel, and so I Voxed her, and all of that came up to say like how cool it is to just be tapped in with other people, not only getting to serve people, but to be served. So if this was helpful and this was beneficial to you, just drop me a comment. Let me know. If you have questions, don't drop those just in the comment. Like, send me a DM. I personally respond to all of my DMs. And I invite you to learn more about how you can work with me. You can continue to check out my content, but if you're somebody that's thinking about working with a business coach, you know that you need some guidance, let's have a conversation. Let's figure out what is it that you're trying to create, whether it's in business or just in life in general. Let's have a conversation about what that looks like, and let's see if it's a fit for us to work together moving forward. So this was completely impromptu, but I think it went well. I think this is going to get repurposed. Repurposing content is something that I teach on a lot. But I think this is good. So here I am, just like, see, having a coach is helping me to learn to see good things in myself and confidence. So now I'm over here like, look at that. Just look at that. So anyways, have a wonderful day. Have a blessed day. And I cannot wait to hear from you. So see you in the DMs. Bye.